The worst seat in the place tonight should be $8.
Right.
Maybe $5, given the fact that nobody's come all week. And they should do dollar hot dogs tonight. And if you have an anti-David Ortiz sign or something that's within taste and reason, they should give you $2.50 soft drink or something. I don't know. I'm making stuff up here, but like there's nobody in the stadium. That's it. Listen, if there's nobody in your dealership, ultimately, whose fault is it? Is it your sales guy?
My fault, man.
It's whose name's at the top of the ledger?
My fault.
All right, well, there you go. So if nobody's in your stadium, you want to blame Buck? You want to blame? You know what they've been doing this week? They've been blaming the fans.
Right.
It's not your customer's fault. There's nobody in your place. I mean,
I agree.
And I can't. And there are people that are loyal to the Orioles that dispute that statement, that they think it's the community's problem and it's an embarrassment under the community, and that there's some obligation, and there's not. There's not.
They've never heard of the law of attraction, right? I guess, and if there's a law of attraction, there has to be a law of repulsion. So you're either attracting or you're repelling, as an individual, as an organization, right? As a team, and that's what I always say. What are you attracting? What are you surrounding yourself with, right?
Yeah, and I go back to there was a plus sign, and there's a Saatchi and Saatchi. You familiar with Saatchi and Saatchi? They're a branding company out of London. They do ad campaigns. They measure affinity for your love, for the love of your brand or the like of your brand. Why people want a certain kind of car, whether it's a Ford or whether it's another model, how they feel about that make, that model, how they feel about that brand, how they feel about premium coffees or fast food experiences, whatever it is. There's a thing called a love mark. And, this is brought up by this company, and I studied this, and it's supposed to replace the idea of a brand. It's supposed to be your what attracts you, the law of attraction, which is you brought up, to your brand. And there's a triangle, not a triangle, it's a cross. There's 4 corners to why people come to your brand. Value, price, like, love, need, all of that. No one needs to go to a baseball game. Let's start with that, right?
Right.
There's no need. It does not have to be a part of your life to go to a baseball game. Then there's value. My time, my money, my safety. I keep hearing the safety thing. And look, I'll urinate on that all day, Dennis. I live 2 blocks away. I live in the city. I walk through the city. I drive through the city. I eat in the city. I drink in the city. I shop in the city. I run in the city. I do yoga in the city. I love the city. This is my town. All this, if it's your town, you'll come to an Oriole game. No, if it's your town, you'll live in it and support the tax base, which I do in Baltimore. I pay a lot of taxes to live more than I should, quite frankly. But it's where I live. It's where I choose to live. I get it. But the whole notion that you're going to get shot at coming to an Oriole game on a Wednesday night, that makes you a sad individual if you really believe that. If you believe that, you're incorrect. That's just not what's going on down here for the people that are down here. People down here, if they're having a bad experience at an Oriole game, it's probably because the Orioles are giving them a bad experience, not because of where they parked their car or what they saw walking through Baltimore, which isn't much different than walking through anywhere else, quite frankly.
Gotcha. I hear you, man. All great points. All goes back.
I need water if I'm going to continue this conversation, Dennis.
All goes back to the laws of attraction. Nestor, we're up against the clock. Always appreciate your passion, your enthusiasm, and your insight, of course. Well, all things did
I go nuts bringing the love marks in? Did I take it? You started with that stuff. You started with do they love my brand?
Yeah,
right?
True. It's true. Look, are you attracting? Are you honey to a bee, or are you vinegar? What are you? You're one or the other, right? Because you know what, passion and
depends who you ask.
Not coexist, right? You're either passionate or complacent.
Yeah. Well, look, I had the 10th anniversary of Free the Birds on Wednesday, and on Wednesday, the Baltimore Sun wrote a gigantic piece about why people aren't going to Oriole games. And ESPN.com wrote a gigantic piece quoting Adam Jones about it being sad. And all those Adam Jones quotes from earlier in the week were there. And I thought, man, that is really wild that it couldn't have been Sunday or this week or 2 weeks ago. Those pieces ran on the exact 10-year anniversary of what my gravest concern was as a sports radio guy who loved baseball in Baltimore is if you keep treating people like this, they're not going to come back even when you win. Even when you want them to come back, they're not going to come back. And 10 years later, I didn't create any of the walkout of the last 3 days or the Red Sox walk in, but I echo Adam Jones' sentiments. It is sad, and they need to figure out how to make you and me, who want to love them, who want to give them money, who at one point were very, very passionate about the Orioles, they need to find a way for us to love them again. And that's onto them. You know what I mean? That's onto them. So
one word, engagement.
Yeah. And, I see it on Twitter. That's the word. We hear the word engagement now on Twitter. That's the official terminology. Are you engaged in a brand or engaged in a conversation? Man, the Twitter, even on their game nights, it's very, very telling. They're lying about their television ratings. And I know a lot about radio ratings and the lies, of the industry and how it works and who's getting greased and who's not and all that. The old Rodney Dangerfield scene from Back to School, they're saying more people are watching the Orioles than have ever. I don't believe that. I just, based on what I see on Twitter, based on what I feel at the water cooler, based on my travels in this city, based on me being at a golf event Monday night with 250 mainly white men of over the age of 45 who would be primary baseball people. Nobody was running out really engaged in the Red Sox-Orioles game. Really talking about it, demanding that it's on in the corner. That's stuff that 15 years ago, that game would have been on. Or there would have been nobody at the golf tournament because they would have been much more interested in the baseball team.
Well, the proof's in the pudding. It's just the lack of attendance at the stadium.
I think it speaks for itself. But the lies that they want to point out now is, well, buy a television ad. Everyone will see it because everyone's watching on TV. Everyone's not on Twitter and everyone's not on Facebook. I mean, there are people engaged. I'll hear that. Thank God for that. They are our listeners, or they are people that we want to listen to WNST. But there aren't enough of them, and they're dissipating, and this has been a very, very telling week, very, very sad week for those of us who've witnessed all of this, who have been Nostradamus-like and have cost themselves a portion of themselves of their career for their stance on this, or staying away, or not taking their kids, or their kids don't fall in love, because baseball's great. Baseball is one of the things that's really good about Baltimore, I think.
No question about it, Nestor. Yeah, appreciate your passion. Calm down, grab that order.
3-0 Sunday. See you later.
All right, my friend. He goes, the passionate, the always outspoken Nestor Aparicio. Right.